What's going on YouTube? It's your boy 3MG here, representing 3MG Nation, back with another video. Just huge shout out to Fry representing Fry Nation and Abel representing Team Green. They both uploaded a very entertaining video, a very interesting video at that. The question was, do you have to beat games in order to review them? If you have not watched it, I will link it in the description below. And you know what? I encourage anyone who has a strong opinion, a strong, insight on how they feel, make a video on it. Link me to your video, how you feel about this. If you don't have the time to make a video, drop your comments below. I would love to hear what you have to say. So one thing I will say is everything is based on opinion as far as how I feel, how they felt. That's how you can't get mad at anyone's opinion based on that. Okay, there may be some things deeper than that, but other than that, just because I may not agree with 100% with what they said, doesn't mean anything at all, because at the end of the day, we're all boys, and it's the best thing is that we can all share our own opinions. Now, do I think you have to beat game? Do I believe you must beat a game in order to review it? Yes. In the case of a story, if the game contains a story, whether if it's single player or multiplayer, if a game has a story, it's only right for the viewer, the person who is watching you. It's only fair that you complete the game so that when you title your video or when you make a review video and you call it a review and you tell the public or you tell your audience that you're doing a review, it's only fair that people know that whether or not you beat the game. Now, if you have not beaten the game, I feel like this is not really a review. This is what you've done thus far, how you felt, and some things may be good or bad about the game. But I feel in order to really call it a review, because there's a lot of people out there who take this word very serious, review. You put that word in the wrong hands and it can get ugly. And that's why I don't do reviews, because I'm not the best at it. So that's just that. But yes, in my opinion, you must beat a game in order to review it. And I don't mean getting carried away here doing side missions and stupid shit like in Assassin's Creed where you got to find all the little paper notes. No. Beat the story, understand the characters, however many characters that are going on in the game, understand the sequences that are happening, the events that are going on, the plots, the summaries, everything that's going on in the game, the characters development. Can you connect? These are things that people are going to look at when they watch a review. I don't know that many people who really look up reviews to just hear how you felt about the game, because to be honest with you, one thing I kind of disagreed with my boys, where I think it was Abel or Friday, I don't want to really mix up the two, but one stated that it was merely just based off opinions, that reviews do go off of opinions or something similar to that nature. And I ain't gonna say that's not true or that is true, but I will say that, to be honest, an opinion doesn't make up a review, because the person ain't looking to see how you felt about the game. They're looking to see what's in the game, and is the game worth purchasing? Is the game worth its, the top dollar that they're about to pay? Telling the person that you feel the game is amazing, great, good, awesome, isn't to the average person watching a review. That's not what makes up a review. People who search reviews really want to know whether or not does the story take place at a setting that makes sense to the time period, or maybe the character development. Is there real character connections to the story, the plot? Does it make sense in this way? Are there bugs? Are there glitches in the game? Should I wait? What happens at the end? Is it an awful ending? Whether if the reviewer is giving out spoilers or not. And that's all fact. That's not. What's opinion is if they tell you to hold on to your money. I don't feel it's right. You're giving your opinion on that. That's how you feel. But giving information about the game is not an opinion. Now, what I will say is that 75% of making a review video, 75% is the review and 25% is your opinion, because your opinion will also play a huge factor in a review video. Whereas you give all this information, and whether or not in the beginning, middle, or end, you state how you felt about the game. But when you're not able to beat the game, it's not fair for the viewer, because all they're really getting is your experience, rather than actually playing the game and really grabbing a lot of in-depth information about the game to really present it to the audience. It is not fair that they're not being given the right information if there's not enough time put into the game. And I know a lot of people say, if you play 75% of the game, at least you have a strong opinion. Okay, you have a strong opinion, therefore make a video on your thoughts, make a video on your impressions, make a video on how you felt so far about the game, or make a video For example, I think the Gamer 2323 still does this, is such and such worth the 60 bones, you know? But in his case, he does do a lot of reviewing in that. I don't know. And I think he beats him. I don't think he does the, is it worth the 60 bones? If he doesn't beat him, I'm not too sure. But I know there's so many different ways to title your videos, but really calling something a review, I go back to the traditional days. And I know we all keep mentioning Angry Joe, but he is such a perfect example for this. And another perfect example is the Black Hokage, aka MWN, because for one thing, like his Assassin's Creed Syndicate video that he did a review on, or even BG, when BG did the Tomb Raider, the Rise of the Tomb Raider video, none of them spoke about only their opinions. They gave information about characters, the story, what made sense. Was the story rushed? Do they feel like it was unfinished? And that, in that case, you can argue that that's an opinion. Was the game short, long, which is debatable, but still they're giving you information about the game. But when you start saying things like the game is great, you know, it has this inside, the characters look lively, that's just all opinion. You know, and I'm not saying this is not talking about them, but this is just my take in general, because I've seen videos before where people have spoken or called something a review, but they don't really even talk about the game in its entirety. They're just speaking solely based on their, you know, experience or from how they felt. And people get kind of confused with that. I say you grab facts, grabbing your to really formulate an opinion, you take your judgment and you compress it to something concrete along with other information in the game, and you give your take on the game, which makes a lot of sense. That's what you call an opinion. Now, a fact is things that really happen in the game that you're just informing the viewer. You know, it only makes you more genuine. It only makes you more authentic. It only makes your video more authentic when you make a review. Like I said, I'm going back to the traditional days of a review. There's a bunch of other reviewers out there. And trust me, not everybody does a review the way I feel a review should be, you know, put out. And I'm gonna still stand by it. I don't find it fair. I find it that you're not giving the audience the full, you know, rundown of a video game. People tend to get to mix up how they feel about the game versus the actual game itself. And this is just all based on the single player. Now, to jump on the multiplayer spectrum or this multiplayer side of things, I feel if you're going to do a review on multiplayer, one thing is, I don't think it's not as hard or difficult as a single player, because single player contains its own, I feel, identity where you have to really go in depth with so much other information, whereas the multiplayer consists of several modes, has specific mechanics that can be used, and gives you a shorter time for you to do a review. But yes, I still feel that you must put in some time in multiplayer as well. If a game comes out with 10 game modes, it's only fair that you do 10, you play the 10 game modes, and not just one game mode each. You put in time so that you can inform people how you felt, but not only that, but what these modes consist of. What are you going to be looking at when you're playing? You know, you're basically that one step close to before their wallets come out on the table, before they start paying. You know, so you're really going to be that go-to guy, you know, when somebody's about to spend money and they're unsure. And I don't find it right if you're not informing them on the right material, if you're not really beating a video game or putting enough time. For example, even though, I mean, for one thing, you had who I think Angry Joe or, you know, TBH, they just dropped their Fallout review now recently. There was guys putting out Fallout reviews the first week. You know, and I'm going to just state this right now, because I know I've seen my boy say this in the comment section on his video, but to not worry about anybody else like IGN or any other company with their reviews, because what they're doing may work for them, may not work for you. So for example, if I see that they're doing reviews early, doesn't mean that I can, because I'm not trying to grow a fan base that they have. You know, I always want to have the right audience coming to me. There's people who shit on IGN on their comment section because they give reviews out a day before the game comes out or a day after. But one thing in their defense, and a lot of these companies' defense, whether or not some of them been exposed, is that they do get the product early regardless. But regardless, they're getting the games early. So if they put the game out a day before, I'm pretty sure they've been putting in time or beating the game. Now, that's not to say or even to compare yourself to that person or that team, because what you want to do is be you. You want to bring out reviews and you want to make sure that you're beating games and not going based off of other channels or other people, because that's not what you're trying to do. You're trying to build a brand for yourself when you're doing a review channel. Reviews are very critical. They're very difficult in my opinion. I can't handle it. I still give my boy, Abel, props because he still be pouring them out. I don't know how, because I can't do reviews. Like, I can probably give you my first impressions, but reviews are difficult for me. You got to really put some time into it. I wouldn't be able to game with my boys. I wouldn't even be able to probably hit the GMG show. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time and dedication, a lot of note taking, because like I said, you're not just giving your opinion. You're giving your thoughts and opinion, and you're giving factual information about the game, and you're going to inform the viewer, the person who is going to buy this product. Like I said, you're looked up upon, and you're really being that person's go-to for whatever information they need based on the game. So if you don't know anything specific about that game later on, how do you look as a guy who reviews games, is what I'm saying. So for anyone who feels like you shouldn't beat a game, you don't have to beat a game, that whole, when you play 75%, I still don't agree. 75% in the game, does that mean you beat the game though? Because not all games take 75. Should I beat Batman at 47%? So I could give you my review on Batman within 47%. I didn't do any of the real side missions, only some of them, but I beat the game at 47%. What? It didn't really matter. So that's not 75%, but I beat the game, so I can tell you how I felt about the game. So I'm not going based off of percent. The only thing I will say about percentages is that in a full review, 75% should be about the game and 25% is your opinion. And that's how you kill a review. That's just my thoughts, people. Let me know what you think in the comments below. It's your boy 3MG, and y'all have a good one. Peace. Yeah.